Hello everyone, Martin again, and we are in step number 3 in the 4 steps to child emotional neglect recovery. And we've covered step number 1, step number 2, and step number 1 was becoming aware of your child emotional neglect. And then number 2, we covered breaking the wall, or breaking your wall. And number 3 is about learn skills to handle emotions. Now, learn skills to handle emotions. There are realities here, and one of the realities is that you are an emotional creature. You have your composition has the emotional component, has the emotional aspect, and the emotional aspect has needs that have to be met, and we all understand that a need is a prerequisite. A need is something that cannot be wished away, cannot be overlooked, cannot be undermined, cannot be ignored. A need is something, is a craving, is a desire, all right, that has to be fulfilled, has to be met, has to be dealt with, it has to be addressed. And when a need is met, it contributes to a healthy individual, healthy emotionally, healthy psychologically, and health in terms of even interactions with other people. So since the emotional component is part of you, you are now in this journey, you are to learn skills because you've suffered in the past. Your emotions have not been expressed. Your emotional component has not been, been allowed to come out, to express itself. You haven't allowed the emotional cravings and desires, to come out and ask for attention, and ask for a listening, and ask for an opportunity, and ask for a reason or a time to be heard. So, and what caused all that is lack of skills, because there are skills that are involved for you to bring out your emotional component, to free up and actually carry your emotional component even in your engagement with yourself, your engagement with your friends, your engagement with your spouse, engagement with your boyfriend, girlfriend, your engagement with every other person in workplace, and everywhere you go. That emotional component should have been brought, should have been allowed to exist, should have been allowed a free reign, to have its place, but for some reason it didn't have. Now, this is a reason. The reason is lack of skills. So in step number 3, you need to learn the skills, and if we have learning of skills, it means you've got to unlearn some things, because the skills that you learned when you were a child was to survive. They are called survival skills. That's why you will never ever insist on having your mother or having your father listen to you, because at that particular time it felt safe for you to keep it to yourself, for you to swallow your pain, for you to swallow your anger, for you to swallow your dissatisfaction, for you to swallow your distrust. So it felt good to keep quiet because it felt safe. So you see, you learned a skill that allowed or helped you to survive, but it wasn't the right skill. So as long as you'll have continued in that skill, then it meant that your emotions will never be allowed to come out. Your emotions will not be allowed to be expressed. Your emotion will not be allowed to even connect with others based on the emotional level. So you've got to unlearn that skill. it's no longer survival. There are things we call in should be psychology, it's called a defensive mechanism. So there are defensive mechanisms you developed. Withdrawal is that deciding, now I don't want more chaos, I don't want more trouble, so I'll keep this to myself. That was a defensive mechanism called withdrawal. So you learned that skill. The other skill is about we call